Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Knave Arcade podcast. I am your host, Maria. You probably know me as Upward Bow or Bow, and you can continue to call me that as long as you're nice. I don't care what you call me. I'm not entirely sure what this will be, but I've always I've always wanted this venture to have a podcast element to it. And I thought, Mercury retrograde, not a great time to start up a project, but it is a good time to revisit old things. And this has been brewing in my brain for quite a while. And so I thought, I'm looking for new ways to branch out. I'm looking for new ways to reinvigorate this business because now I'm in year 2 of this fun little venture that I want to take further than it's been, further than it's gone. Listen, this is Mercury retrograde. I'm a Sagittarius Mercury. So anyway, what I wanted to share were a few cards for the week ahead, which are the Five of Pentacles reversed and the Wheel of Fortune. And I want to make this quick because I've envisioned this little audio element as something that is meant to just be snippy, pithy, and useful. If you know me, you know I love to get into the weeds of things. But sometimes we don't need that. And the message with the Five of Pentacles and the Wheel of Fortune is to remember that sometimes bad luck is just luck. Sometimes bad things happen and it has nothing to do with what we've done or what we think we deserve or really anything that's in our power, which admittedly can be really disempowering, but it's also a good reminder that things can change. And that's what the Wheel of Fortune reminds us, that you can have a turn of unfortunate circumstances and the next day something that you don't expect could happen. Something good. Something good can happen that you least expect. There's a cyclicality that we need to remember with life, and we'll have our lows, but we can also have our highs. And if you are someone who is a little pessimistic about I'm always in my lows, I just invite you to consider, if you don't feel like there's a high, when was the last time something surprised you? And also, if you are prone to pessimism, I'm probably not the tarot reader or astrologer for you, because I am annoyingly optimistic, not in the spiritual bypassing way. There are awful things in this world. And that's another element to the Five of Pentacles, is that there are socioeconomic factors that will make it difficult for people, especially if you are in a marginalized, a traditionally underrepresented group. So I am absolutely going to acknowledge those factors. However, back to my optimism, I've got two of my big three are Jupiterian. You can't get away from my believing in better things. But I am getting off track. Like I said, sometimes bad luck is just a poor hand that you've drawn. It's a poor hand that you've been given, not even drawn, and that doesn't mean your luck can't turn around. So this is kind of a great set of cards to pull for the first episode, because they are a little sad and they're a little frustrating. But there are 78 cards in a traditional, Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. Life has so many other weird and fun things about it, and we can't get hung up on these frustrating cards, but we can acknowledge them. And if there are difficult situations, there are probably resources for you that you were just unaware of. And just consider looking around, because the specific Five of Pentacles and Wheel of Fortune that I've pulled are from the Goddess of Love Tarot by Gabriella Herstick and Snakes for Hair. And it is a very beautiful collage deck. And the Five of Pentacles has a very ornate sort of ritual altar piece in the middle of it that is framed by this beautiful foliage of roses. I want to say a peony, but there's also lots of greenery in the background. And I think that's a really beautiful example of the concept that there are things outside of us that we can't see, that we have to look around and we have to find. We have to go out and search for it sometimes, because in the traditional Rider-Waite system, you know, those figures who are having a really bad day, who have bandages and crutches and look destitute, you know, there's a church behind them. There is a spiritual place of respite and support, hopefully, that is, you know, in their vicinity, in proximity. And that's something that we have to remember too, that there are places that we may not be aware of. And the Wheel of Fortune says we can get to it eventually. The Wheel of Fortune says we have our highs, we have our lows. And I said that before. So if you are feeling that Five of Pentacles, and I know I am, I know I'm feeling that sense of loss and disarray, things can turn around. And that doesn't necessarily mean we have to wait for those things to turn around. There are things that we can do in our power. There are things that we can change. We can collect our own resources and see what we have to work with. There are people around us who are willing to help if we know, you know, who to trust and who to ask and how to ask them. It's not the end of the line. I hope that if you feel that sense of desolation, that you know you're not alone. You are not alone in what you're feeling. So hopefully that gives you some clarity for the week ahead. And I will be back next week. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider forwarding it to a friend that you feel might resonate with the message.